Defending champion. She won the Metaman last year, and she did it with that phenomenal run. She's a rower, her background, so plenty of aerobic capacity. This is Belinda Granger, inducted into the Australian Ironman Hall of Fame. Been around for a long, long time, but still very competitive, Cameron.
Yeah, no, she's a phenomenal athlete. You know, she's 42 years of age now, but just keeps getting stronger and stronger, and she just travels the world with husband Justin, and just enjoys the sport.
And Justin's in this race, so I suppose there'll be a bit of a family rivalry going on as well. This is Simone Meyer.
Yeah, Simone's looking good. She's just concentrating on her leg turnover, and that's important through the early stages. You know, you don't want to be pushing a massive gear, and otherwise, you know, you're just going to pay for it in that first part of that run course.
Well, you mentioned the heat before, and some undulations on the course too. So we go back to the men's chasing group. This is Courtney Ogden.
Yeah, Courtney's he's won Ironman Western Australia before, and hasn't had a win for a long time, but I'm sure he's been training hard for this event, and you know, if he can pull this off, it's a big payday of $40,000.
And you see the sweat dripping off the nose, so the heat really starting to bite here. Rumoured to get up to around about 37 degrees. There is some vegetation cover as this battle continues before Tim Van Berkel and David Dello.
Yeah, these guys will just try and key off each other, you know, just keep pushing the pace. Courtney's still up the road, and they don't want to let him to, you know, build on that 3-minute lead that he had out of the swim. So it's important for them to, you know, keep coming past each other, push the pace, and if they can do that, then they may catch him.
And of course, they've always got to be aware about the no drafting policy in the iron distance races, so they've got to keep a specified distance behind.
Yeah, that's 10 metres, so, you know, any closer than that, you start getting a draft, and especially if it's windy. But these guys know the rules. They'll stay by, you know, 10 metres back, and there's also a period where, you know, they've got 20 seconds to pass. So as soon as you pass that front wheel of that person in front, they have to drop back.
So this is Australia's David Dello.
Actually, one of the reasons why I'm racing here, I've got Kona in 6 weeks, so in this heat and on this type of course, it's a perfect hit out to, to harden up and get some good fitness in the legs before Kona.
Plenty of support on the roads here for the competitors in the Metaman for 2013.
Yeah, no, it's always great seeing those supporters out there. You need it when things are getting tough, and these athletes will be going through a lot of tough stages, that's for sure.
Another man that had a very good swim, this is Fredrik Kronborg from Sweden.
Yeah, Freddie, he's a phenomenal runner, and these guys will be trying to get distance on him as soon as they get off that bike. You know, they don't want to see any sign of him at all.
Looks very relaxed, isn't he, down on the aero position on his bike there?
Yep. Freddie's he's a great athlete, and he's just a very, very quick runner. And here's Tim Van Berkel. He's you know, looking good, looking strong, just ticking over the cadence again. And you know, there's David right behind him.
So it looks like these two are setting themselves up for a bit of a war. Berkel, very good runner as well, has run a 2:44 in an Ironman, so that's Cameron Brown status.
Yeah, no, he ran very, very well at Ironman Cairns this year, and nearly ran down Luke McKenzie.
We go back to the front of the field, and this is Atkinson. As we said before, he's never done an iron distance race before, so this is kind of uncharted territory, but he has said that he trains long hours, but it's a little bit different, isn't it, Cameron, between training and racing?
Oh, definitely, and 180 k's is a long way, and you've got to have full respect for this course.
My summer where I grew up in the Gold Coast in Australia isn't all that different. I mean, we're used to training in pretty extreme heat anyhow, and if you gave me a choice of racing in the cold or extreme heat, I'd be, you know, this is why I'm at, you know, at this race, and why I love racing island races and races throughout Asia. I actually enjoy the heat.
The big thing for Courtney, though, has to be that he's got to pace himself. In the ITU races, the 1,500 metre swim, the 40k bike, the 10k run, it's red line everywhere. But this is about just metering out the energy, isn't it, Cam?
Yeah, he's used to, you know, running that first 10k in, you know, sort of 30-31 minutes, whereas, you know, he's going to have to control that pace to sort of 38 to 40 minutes, or even slower in these conditions.
These are the half iron distance athletes coming out, and that looks like James Hodge from Australia coming out in first position.
Yeah, James is a phenomenal swimmer, so he'll want to just try and build this lead the whole day, and if he can on that bike, then, you know, he can take out this title.
Eric Watson in that bunch as well as Andy Wibowo, our race favourite. Ahead of them, of course, transition, and then 90 kilometres, one loop of the iron distance course.
Yeah, it'll be nice and refreshing going under that shower, just getting rid of a bit of salt water. These guys are going to be sweating out a lot of salt later on, so they'll need a little bit of sunscreen for the next 3 hours, that's for sure.
Well, we know how the heat builds here in Bintan, and these guys have started a half hour after the iron distance race, so it's got a little bit warmer. You see the sunblock going on there on Andy Wabowo.
Yeah, and they'll be applying that at the end of the bike as well. Yeah, it's amazing how much you sweat. These conditions are just, probably 90% humidity out there, so you just walk around in these conditions and you're sweating.
So it looks like James Hodge leading out as we go back to the women's race here in the full iron distance race. This is New Zealand's Gina Crawford. Took a year off in 2011 to start a family, but now back to her best. Can you believe it? In her short Ironman career, she's won something like 11 Ironmans right around the world.
Yeah, Gina just loves racing.
I was only able to do the, say, 30 Ks of the bike course, so, I only know 1/3, well, 30, we're going to repeat it, so I know 60 Ks of the bike course, and yeah, it was similar, nothing too steep, just rolling terrain, and I tend to like that. It gives you something to think about for the whole race. It's not so boring. If you've got flat, it tends to be quite monotonous, so I like the terrain, but definitely in this heat, each of those hills is just going to take a toll on our body.
As Gina was saying, there are a few hills there, but you repeat them over and over again, but they do take a toll. But it is a fast course. Those road conditions are very, very good.
This is the race leader for the ladies. This is Carolyn Steffen.
She's still looking good, looking strong. She's just want to keep building this lead. She's maintaining a good lead, and every turnaround she'll be able to see where Gina is and Belinda as well.
And it looks to me that already she's starting to put a little bit of distance on Gina Crawford, and you'd expect that. She's a super strong cyclist.
I got injured when I was a swimmer, so I had to choose something else, and I got my first bike and I really like cycling, so I made the step there to being professional. And but I didn't really enjoy the team sport you do on the road races, and so I had two, and I couldn't run at all. But I thought I still can learn it, and that's where I made the step to triathlon. I knew I can swim, I can ride a bike, and I will learn to run.
Carolyn Steffen, coached by the Australian guru Brett Sutton from Team TBB.
Yeah, Caroline, she's not wearing an aero helmet there. A lot of races she doesn't, because those aero helmets they don't allow the wind to come in, so there's no cooling factor. So she's just opted with the normal helmet, so she can pour water through there throughout the whole race and just really cool down that head, because you do lose a lot of heat through that head.
So we get back to the exit of the swim here in the half iron distance race. And as I said before, for a lot of these athletes, this will be the biggest sporting occasion of their life. They've probably trained 6 to 8 months, maybe in some cases over a year, to get where they are now. And for the other guys, the semi-pros, the guys that do it sort of week in and week out, maybe this is a stepping stone to the full Ironman distance. I think that's what Andy Wabowo is looking at. This is Wabowo here, who's a little bit slow in transition, and he's playing catch up a wee bit to Australia's James Hodge.
Yeah, James will just be trying to push this course as much as possible and get a good lead.
Mungkin dulu sebagai atlet renang saya terbiasa untuk.
As a swimmer before, I used to be to push myself more. So even though later on I'm not really feel confident or comfortable with the bicycle, I still gonna push myself.
Good. Saya tetap akan push sampai maksimal.
This is how it shapes up in the half iron distance race. This is the battle for the front position. Remember, one loop of the full iron distance bike course, 90 kilometres.
Yeah, so you notice these guys are just coming straight through. They'll have to then drop back and stay out of that draft zone.
This is the race leader. This is James Hodge from Australia.
James is looking good, keeping that cadence high again. And he's not using a disc wheel, which is, a little bit unusual, but just opted with the deep section rims.
That's right, it's all about aerodynamic advantage, and this guy has all the advantages at the moment because he leads the half iron distance race here at Metaman 2013. Further back in the pack, this is Michelle Boys. She's in the 40 to 44 age category. This is only her third half iron distance race. She's looking to do an Ironman in the future. But this is a great stepping stone.
Oh, definitely. You can step up from this after this race. It's be one of the toughest half Ironmans you do, but she'll, if she completes this well, she'll be able to just step up that distance with ease.
So she would be leading the 40 to 44 age category at the moment. And this is Monica Torres. We spoke to her just before the race. She says her specialty is her run.
Yeah, Monica's got all her food just plastered all over that top tube, so whenever she needs it, she'll just rip off. She'll have a bit of tape covering every gel.
Well, this is a bit of a rolling course, so in terms of other half distances I've done in the Philippines, which are flat, I guess this would be a little more technical and more challenging. Yeah, but the weather is pretty much the same.
So Monica there, one of the favourites. She would have been a competitor in the Cobra 70.3 in the Philippines, and I know you've done that race, Cam.
Yeah, no, she always finishes first Filipino elite, and she's a home crowd favourite over in the Philippines, that's for sure.
Looks like she's pushing quite a big gear, just a slow cadence, a slow turnover as we watch her progress.
Yeah, no, she's pushing a big gear there, so she'll just have to be careful. You know, it's okay on the flat, but you don't want to be doing that on the hills, that's for sure.
This is Vanessa Hodge, another one of the Australians in the field.
Yeah, she's just enjoying herself, smiling out there, which is good. No pressure on her.
And isn't that what it's all about? Yes, it's hard work, but it's got to be fun as well.
Yeah, you know, you train hard. These athletes, you know, sort of training 10, 15 hours a week for the age group, and the pros are up to 40 hours.
I started running about 3 years ago. Just to get fit, and I started a 10-kilometre run, and then I loved that, so I signed up to the marathon, and I wanted to do a sub-4 marathon. I did that, and then I thought, what next? So I took swimming lessons and bought a bike, and it's all about the challenge, really, and I just keep going more, and I've signed up to do a full Ironman in Busselton in December.
Well, there you go. You could take a leaf out of Vanessa's book and do it just in slow increments. She's looking to do a full Ironman, and that's an accomplishment in anybody's language.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Just do it in stages, build up. You know, that's how I did it. You know, started with sprint distance and moved on to Olympic, then halves, and then the full Ironmans later on in my career.
And what a career it's been as we go back to the full Ironman distance. This is Tim Van Berkel. He's currently sitting in 3rd place now.
Yeah, and Tim's opted with the no aero helmet as well, and as I said, he's just putting some water down that helmet just to cool himself off, and he'll be just doing that all day. And there's old David just sitting there, just controlling his pace as well. It's these athletes, you know, they've got to look after what they can control out there, and they can't, you know, if someone else is feeling good, and they'll just sit back and let them lead.
Just up ahead of them is Courtney Ogden, so the 3 Australians together on the course. Remember, the man probably 2 or 3 minutes up the road still leading this race, well, that's Courtney Atkinson, but we've said it before, unknown territory for him, never done an iron distance race before. This guy is a very experienced iron distance racer.
Yeah, these other 3 guys, you know, Courtney Ogden, Tim Van Berkel and David Dell are all experienced. You know, they've done probably, you know, 15 Ironmans each, so they know what it's all about, and you know, they'll know they'll have to conserve for this hard marathon that's going to follow this bike ride.
Nice good high cadence there from Ogden. Well, they say life's all about experience, and I guess racing is too. You learn something in all this journey, don't you, Cam?
Oh, you do, and it's, you know, you see the world, you make a lot of friends, and it's just a fantastic sport. His seat looks like he's just dropped there a little bit. It could have dropped over this part of this bike course, but he's looking very, very low. So if it has, that's going to come and haunt him on this run.
And he looks to me like he's still hammering away here. He probably doesn't need to be going quite as hard. He's got 3 minutes on these guys, and he's still got a full marathon to run, and he's never run a full marathon before.
Yeah, I've really only got one race to gauge it off, and that's the 6-hour race I did up in probably hotter conditions than here in Samui earlier in the year. And I did the bike completely without any heart rate monitors, without any power meters, and purposely did it just by feel so that I could learn about how to race these races, learn about my body particularly, and I've probably gone out of my way not to listen to other people and gauge off, I think I'll go down a different track. I think a lot of the guys that have either raced long distance in the past or that I'm racing now, I think have actually gone out of their way to try and tell you how difficult and how much you'll falter, and I've purposely tried to stay away from that, and I'm under no illusions that this is a hard event, and I'm under I'm not naive enough to think I can go out there and just do this as a walk in the park. I mean, it's all new. I've never run a marathon, let alone tried to run it off 180k on the bike. So it's a new challenge, but at the same time, I'm doing it my way, and so far that's been working. And tomorrow, here at Metaman will be I suppose, the next step in that challenge to now take it that step further to the iron distance.
Sounds like another guy that you know very well, Cameron, and that's Chris McCormick in his early attempts at Hawaii.
Yeah, no, it takes a while for some athletes to get used to Ironman, but you know, as Courtney said, he had a great race in Samui. It was a 4K swim, 120k bike, and a 30k run, and you know, he won the race with ease, and then won Cairns 70.3 earlier in June. So you know, he's had success straight away in the long distance events.
Well, this is number 20, and this is Simone Mayen. We just got a close-up shot of her face, and you can see the conditions starting to take their toll. Body covered in sweat and dried salt on her cheeks.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of these athletes, especially if they're wearing black shorts, they'll just be covered in salt in the after this bike ride. And if you're a heavy sweater, then you know, taking on fluid and salt. A lot of these athletes too will take salt tablets throughout the day. Sometimes, you know, up to 20-30 salt tablets.
This is Candice Hammond.
Yeah, no, Candice is she's still looking good. She's rocking on that bike a little bit too much, but you know, again, her strong part is still to come, the run, and if she can get close to these the girls up front, you know, she'll be able to put in a good run.
Gina Crawford currently in second in the women's race. They're all chasing down, well, trying to chase down Carolyn Steffen, known as Xena, probably for her exploits on the bike rather than the run. She is a phenomenal cyclist.
Yeah, she scares the boys. You know, it's not, you know, quite often that she'll finish, you know, top 10 overall in these iron distance races, and I think today's going to be no difference.
And this is the woman we're talking about. She's putting time into the rest of the female competitors here. She's a two-time runner-up at the Hawaii Ironman. She's a two-time ITU distance champion. Her run has always